I am Nathan Cruz and welcome once again to a Halloween special inside the toy room. Welcome once again to this channel. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell so you're notified every single time we upload a new episode here on Inside the Toy Room. And if you are new to the channel, thank you very much for subscribing and welcome to Inside the Toy Room. And you may have guessed it, this week we're taking a look at the Joker, well, the toy history of the Joker. Now, obviously, give you a quick brief history. The Joker was first introduced in comics in Batman issue 1 in 1940. Up until that point, Batman had just been featured in Detective Comics, and to start his own series, they gave him his most notorious villain, and since then, the Joker's probably become one of the most iconic comic book villains in history. And I don't just mean within Batman, I would mean within comic books in general. The Joker's one of those few characters that transcends to pop culture. He's almost bigger than comic books. 9 times out of 10 you could ask people to name a comic book villain and probably the first person I'm going to go to is the Joker. Because of that, there's been a hell of a lot of merchandise created for the Joker. One, I mean, he's quite a merchandisable character, but two, how popular he is has led to us having 105 action figures. Now that's just action figures. That doesn't mean limited edition collectibles such as these, which we'll be getting to in a minute, or statues such as this or that. The actual first action figure of the Joker was created in 1973 by a company called Pogo. Now this action figure, I don't own it. If you can find it on the internet and you'll have a look at a picture of it, it's got some kind of like fabric jacket all the way through. I'm kind of complex to see what this would actually feel like. I don't know if it's soft in the middle. You can tell that the head's definitely made of plastic, or maybe it's made of rubber. It's definitely kind of solid. For an early toy, this is actually quite a good toy in regards to looking at it. Like, you look at this and you go, that's actually the Joker. And to an extent, I think it's even better than some of the ones that we got from Toy Biz in 1989, because of course in 1989 we got the wonderful Tim Burton's Batman film, in my opinion to this day one of the best Batman films ever created, and Jack Nicholson, who of course adopted the role of the Joker, was just exceptional for me. Like, when I think of the Joker, I think of that image, probably with Mark Hamill's voice, but that's the image that I get. And of course, to go along with the film, we got a lot of Batman merchandise at that time. It was ridiculous. And Toy Biz was actually the ones that first produced these action figures, which is quite unique because eventually it would be Kenner, and a lot of people associate Batman action figures and the villains with Kenner, but it was actually Toy Biz. And as you can see, you had a few different versions of this Joker from 1989, and there was the bike that comes with this. You can get this as a separate accessory, and it has a mask, a Joker mask at the front that you can fire. None of this of course was featured in the film, but they make really good toys to sell to kids. Now prior to this, and I'm just going to kind of skip ahead and skip back at the same time, obviously go back to 1966 and you have the 60s Batman, the Batman TV series that, you know, has a lot of fond memories for a lot of people of that generation, and even further beyond that. Even myself, I remember watching reruns of that on Channel 4, and Cesar Romero's adaptation of the Joker was so iconic and so memorable. Again, not really as dark as Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger or even Mark Hamill in the animated series, but something that was definitely remarkably memorable and an iconic character. But of course we didn't get any action figures of them back then. You would get the Batmobile little toy that everybody was after, but there was certainly nothing of the Joker. But we would get them many years later in 2015, more so aimed at collectors of course, and there were so many different ones of the Joker, but one that I particularly do want to add to this collection. I really enjoyed the episode as a kid, and when I rewatched it as an adult, I enjoyed it for so many different reasons of just how ridiculous it is. And it's the Surf's Up episode where Batman has to defeat the Joker in a surfing contest, and over both of their iconic costumes they have these ridiculous surfing shorts. It's so bad. I'm giggling just thinking about it. I love it so much. But there's an action figure that captures this, which was brought to us by Mattel in 2015 with their surfboards in those iconic, beautiful surfing shorts. I really want to add that to this collection just because I think it's such an iconic scene from the 60s Batman that a lot of people remember. I just think it's a really cool action figure at capturing those little things. In fact, that entire series was really good at that, but we're going to stick to the Joker because I'm going to end up waffling on and on and on, and there's a lot of Joker toys to talk about. Now, following 1989, Kenner would eventually pick up the rights to produce Batman action figures, and in 1992 we got one of the greatest pieces of Batman media of all time in Batman the Animated Series. I mean, there's nobody who sounds like the Joker any better than Mark Hamill. To this day, I think it's the biggest crime that he's never done a live action adaptation of him being the Joker, because if you ever watch him in a recording booth and the mannerisms he does, the facials with it as he's doing the voice, you can tell he fully immerses himself into the character. And what we got on the TV series was nothing short of just magical. And of course, we got some awesome action figures from this. Now, this one is the very first one that they did, Joker with laughing gas spray gun. It's one of them action figures that just captures that comic book look and that cartoon look so well. Obviously, it was based from the TV series, so it was going to. The accessories, of course, just cool little toy accessories. I really like this action figure, and going forward, once again, actually in 2014 we got a re-release of a lot of these by DC Collectibles, bit bigger, bit taller, and of course we got the Joker. And again, if you were to look at these two, they did pretty good in 1992 for a kids action figure. I think that's pretty on the money. Now this one, obviously a bit different, doesn't come with a cool accessory, instead it has a pearl necklace, a few other little bits. But yeah, that's the Joker. Now there is a version from one of my favourite episodes, Christmas with the Joker, and it is the Joker. It's this size, from DC Collectibles, and it is in this full outfit from that episode, like when he's hosting that particular show, when he hijacks like Commissioner Gordon and Bullock and his host. Oh man, I love that episode, and I really want to add that to this collection. Now around that same time in 2015 we also got some of these miniature busts by Diamond Select. Now, as I always talk about how much I love Diamond Select on this channel, but these are some of my favourites, and this is definitely one of my favourite ones from the episode of The Laughing Fish, when the Joker tries to copyright a fish because it resembles his face. It's the Joker, right? If I was to have a collection of these busts, and I'm fortunate to have a few of them, I definitely wanted to add the Joker to it, because, you know, I love this. The officer copyrights in his hand, the big smile. I mean, that captures everything about what that character was presented as in that show to me. I really love this. It's so well done, and they weigh quite a bit. And all of these little busts come with your own little certificate right here, and this one is number, handwritten on, number 537 of 1000. So yeah, only 1000 pieces of these made, and I'm very proud to say that I own this one. Now moving forward, Batman the Animated Series would get a bit of a shake up, and for a while it was renamed The Adventures of Batman and Robin. I think that's towards the end of the third series. At that point the Joker still had that same image. Now here they've put him in a blue suit, bit different. I don't think he ever appeared in a blue suit in that cartoon. The packaging on this box is a bit different. As you can see, you've not got the big three-dimensional box here, but again, similar things. This is Pogo Stick Joker. There's so many different variations at this point that there was just cutting the mold, adding a different accessory, as can I do. But for me, one of the best ones that was created was this, and it's quite simply the Joker, and he comes with this machine gun, the grey jacket. I remember seeing him in a particular episode, I think it's the one Joker's Favour. He has this outfit on and the hat's like protruding over his eyes, and he just lifts it up. And again, just how good the animation was in that TV series. I think that's a really good example of how they could display a character that was so sinister without him saying anything. And this was the version that they released for The Adventures of Batman and Robin. This was released in 1997. In 2007 we got the absolutely breathtaking performance by the late great Heath Ledger. Now a lot of people would argue that this is the greatest adaptation of the Joker ever. To me, I mean, there's no disrespect to Heath Ledger, it's just not what I see in the Joker. It's a different origin story, but of course the Joker doesn't necessarily have an origin story. In fact, recently in the comic books we found out that there's 3 different Jokers, so it's all wild, it's all over the place. And it was a very good different spin on the character, a more realistic look at where this guy could have come from. The action figures that have come from it though certainly weren't geared towards kids. The film was so good and so grounded in reality that it wasn't a comic book come to life like a lot of these are to me, and it wasn't something that I wanted to gravitate to, and I don't think that the figures actually did that well. However, there's a company called Hot Toys. Now, I've previously mentioned on this channel before, Hot Toys are outstanding at capturing the detail of not just a character, but the actor portraying them. I mean, there's a fantastic Jack Nicholson Joker, and he's got those plaid green trousers all the way up to his hip. I can't believe how much this looks like Jack Nicholson's Joker. And of course, we got one of Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. Comes with that little mask that he's carrying in the bank robbery. So really, it's one of the most sought after hot toys, a monument to him and his performance and how good he was and how cherished it is within not just fans. Again, this is a character that's transcended pop culture, and a lot of people, when they think of the Joker, they think of the line, "Why so serious?" delivered only how Heath Ledger can deliver it. Now, again, moving a bit further forward was the release of the Arkham games. When Arkham Origins came out, I'm a sucker for getting the collector editions because I want to get all the cool little early downloadable content and things like this. I mean, this is awesome. I love this statue. I mean, if ever something captures the relationship between Batman and the Joker, I think this is it. He's literally holding him over, like he probably, I imagine there's quite a drop below, and Batman, if he wanted to, could just release and kill him, but of course Batman has that moral debate all the time because he has one rule, and the Joker knows that, and there's the face right there to kind of laugh about that. I just love this statue so much. I think that's one of my, within my entire collection of Batman, and there's a lot of Batman in here, this is one of my favourite pieces. Now, moving on to some of the more limited edition collector sets, these I mean, two of the best comics that you'll ever read. This one, The Killing Joke, this was the first comic I ever read. I mean, this was something to me on a personal level. This is such an iconic comic because it was the first time we actually got a glimmer into the Joker's past. We found out that he used to be a failed comedian that was struggling, and he was just trying to get some money together for his pregnant wife to support his family, and he decided to don the red hood, which had been donned by so many mobsters, and he was just going to do one big robbery and he'd get enough money so that he could support his family and then hopefully pursue his career as a comedian. Things go wrong and he falls into a vat of acid, and all it takes is just one bad day to realise how much of a joke the world is, this corrupt world that's run by money. And it's so good, it's such an in-depth look into the character of why he is the way he is, and having this is awesome because he's not in his traditional Joker outfit. He's in the outfit that he's actually wearing when he shoots Barbara Gordon. He's kind of in some kind of holiday get up. You can see a bit more of this on the back of the box. This collector set is, if I had to sell everything in the toy room for whatever reason, this would be one of the things that I'd probably be the last thing that I'd part ways with, just because, again, I love the comic, I love the action. That's my favourite look of Batman. I always prefer Batman in a blue cowl and cape. I love the Joker, the fact that he's in his Hawaiian get-up. It's definitely from that comic. Like, you couldn't mistake that for anything else. And that's very similar, I suppose, with this the Long Halloween collector set. Again, just because of the animation style of that comic. And again, one of the most iconic comic books that's been created that features the Joker and all of Batman's rogues gallery. So to have this as a collector's set that kind of sits up there with a few of the other collector's sets that I have up in this toy room, I love it, but this is their daddy for me. I absolutely love this one. Now, in 1994 there was a series released of action figures called Legends of Batman. I have the bike right here because I used to have this as a kid, so I wanted to capture this inside the toy room. And of course, in the series there was a Joker. It came with these oversized novelty teeth, you can see there, and that was your basic Joker that came with it. But there was also another variant of this in the series called the Laughing Man Joker. It's weird. He's got this pointy hat, these long tails. This is one of the most iconic figures because he had a re-release that was done as a Warner Brothers exclusive, and this variant is in a darker costume, but other than that it's the exact same figure, exact same accessories. You're just getting different artwork on the box. Again, I really like the artwork on the variant in regards to the box, and maybe something that I do want to add to the toy room. Long let these Joker figures continue, particularly, like I say, my collection, I'm happy with it, but there's a few things that I want to add that I've mentioned on this episode, and the one that I definitely want to get my hands on next is that Christmas with the Joker from DC Collectibles, the adaptation of this. I just think it's just awesome. And then definitely when I do this toy room up for Christmas, yeah, you know we're going to be doing a Christmas special this year because we can. That's something that I want to add under the tree or just displayed in some way because, yeah, Christmas with the Joker. Hopefully you did enjoy this episode of Inside the Toy Room and taking a look at the toy history of the Joker. We could stand here all day and talk about all these 105 individual figures, but I haven't got that time. I'm sure you don't, because there's so many other episodes of Inside the Toy Room that you want to check out, right? Click on them right here at the end of this episode by clicking on the playlist. If not, and you did enjoy this episode, please share it out on your social media as it helps our channel grow. And join us next week for our final installment of our Halloween special. And I'm going to kind of leave you on the edge with this one. I'm not going to reveal who it is that we're going to be talking about. You'll understand next week. It's very niche, but for people who understand it, I think you're definitely going to appreciate it. And for those who don't, well, just tune in, because it's a bit of a mystery, and all will be revealed next week on Inside the Toy Room. So many Joker figures. There was so many that I was like, f*** this.